All right, this is the Dales Report, and this week we continue our conversation with one of the hottest companies to go public this summer, WonderFi, who went public earlier this week on the Neo Exchange. And to say there's a lot of buzz around this company in the DeFi space would be an understatement. WonderFi has a roster of heavy hitters singing their praises, among them Kevin OLeary and TikTok star turned investor Josh Richards, who joins me here today on TDR, along with WonderFi co-founder and CEO Ben Samaru. Ben, Josh, appreciate you checking in on the podcast here today.
Hey, thank you, man. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, appreciate it. So, Ben, Josh, either one of you can chime in first, but tell me how you two found one another and formed this partnership, and why does it seem like the right fit? And I guess, Ben, we'll start with you being the CEO.
Sure. So when WonderFi partnered with Kevin, he had one condition, which was that he could have the opportunity to bring Josh into the company and his investment fund, Animal Capital.
All right.
So I'd heard of Josh before, but wasn't fully up to speed. So got up to speed really quickly, and obviously it was an easy yes. But I think what really stood out to me was, like, it wasn't the massive social media following, which is obviously super impressive, but it's more how Josh is taking his experience from being a voice to millions of people.
Yeah.
And then he's using that to help grow things that he's passionate about. So like when we talked the first time, it was really right around like lack of personal finance education in high school. And so that just really resonated with me, and we found a lot of common ground right off the bat.
That's cool. Josh, what gets you passionate, I guess, about this opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, when you hear a guy like Mr. Wonderful who talks about money on TV all the time,
Yeah.
currency's like, yo, I gotta join, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I mean, when I was going through school and going through high school, I was never educated on what to do with money if I made money. There was financial literacy. And a big part of my mission statement is really providing that other path for kids. And I think financial literacy is just something that's so important for Gen Z to learn. And I think we have their interest gauged. I think that the young people of today want to learn. They know a lot about crypto in the sense that they're hearing it every day, right? They might not know exactly how to go and invest in it, but they're interested. So I think it's just such a unique opportunity that we have right now to really educate these young people.
I'd be curious to hear, obviously, from a Gen Z, where do you think the crypto space will be in 10 years? I know it's a long ways away, but, where do you see this going in, let's say, in the next 5-10 years?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're going to see it be obviously implemented in people's day-to-day use more and more. I think that right now we're in a kind of a free-for-all with a little bit of these cryptos that we see. But that's why I think it is so important right now to really educate these kids. There's these certain coins that are being made right now that kids aren't learning about, right? The pump and dumps or these really weird coins. And I think when you have places like WonderFi that are able to really educate the kids on what's smart to invest in, it's important. Yeah,
it's good. You've got over 2.3 million subscribers to your YouTube channel, over 25 million on TikTok, over 7 million on Instagram. I won't bore you with being probably the 100th person each day that asks you, how do you do it? But what kind of opportunity, I guess, does this present to WonderFi investors, knowing the size of audience that you can capture each day?
I think that it lets them know that there's a built-in audience already here, right? We have a lot of these people that are listening to my investments on a day-to-day basis. It's not just the fans that like to see me dance around or shoot a video with music behind it. They are intrigued in what I'm doing on the entrepreneurial side. So when it comes to this investment in particular, I think they're going to get super engaged. I think that they're going to really want to become a part of it and learn as much as they can.
Yeah, it's great. Ben, what would you say Josh will bring to the table in addition to what he's already said that will advance the WonderFi name and brand?
Like you said, I think the media draws Josh's social media following, but to me, it's actually way bigger than that. And it comes down to just having a different way of thinking. So like what I've learned through working with Josh is, everybody knows he's a voice for Gen Z. Like that's what he's established himself as. And Gen Z looks at things a lot differently than other generations. And really, DeFi, it's about accessibility and inclusion. And so I feel super lucky to have someone like Josh, on this mission with us, where a big part of it is, educating Gen Z, which is the largest generation. So I think it's getting some insight into how this biggest generation in the world really is looking at things differently, and so Josh gives us a really unique perspective on that.
This got to be a pretty cool thing. You come up with an idea, you present your business plan to Kevin OLeary. I'm sure it was probably a little nerve-wracking at first, but obviously he's got to hold you in high regard. So question for both of you: why do you think Kevin does hold you both in such high regards, knowing that you're a DeFi phenom, Ben, and then as well Josh, with obviously your social channels? These are obviously great opportunities for a lot of investors when looking at this company. But more importantly, why do you think Kevin holds both of you in such high regard? And Ben, I'll start with you first.
Well, I think for us as a company, we've been in the crypto space for 5 years, and we just focus on building things that solve problems. So that's what resonated with Kevin, is we have experience in the space, and we found a problem to solve here, which is accessibility in DeFi, and then we're focused on that.
Josh, you want to comment on that?
I think when it comes to me personally, and why Kevin is holding me to high regard is because I'm a man of action. When I'm talking about something that I'm passionate about, I put my money where my mouth is. I'm making sure that I'm really a part of it, not just in the front end and doing a promo. I'm in the back end, right? And I think that when I'm out here making sure that I'm focusing on the longevity play, I'm focusing on what's going to happen in 5-7 years with this company. How am I going to be involved that whole entire time? I think that's something that he respects as well.
Yeah, that's great. You mentioned financial literacy. Members of Gen Z and millennials can, let's face it, basically easily access the markets and other investments more so than any other previous generation. So what have you learned, I guess, as you've gone along, spoken to your followers and audiences in relation to that?
Because there's so many different areas of possible investments for the youth right now, and because there's all these different platforms giving them access, it's getting them interested in finally investing. It's getting them interested in talking about the space, and I think that's what's important, is we're finally having that conversation of financial literacy, which we weren't having 5 years ago. It wasn't a topic of discussion 3 years ago. So, yeah.
Yeah. Ben, what would you say with a member of, Gen Z like Josh being part of your team? What have you learned, I guess, from Josh and his generation so far?
From Josh, I think it's, I don't know, Josh, if you agree with this or not, but I see Josh as the poster boy or poster person for anything's possible. So I say that because so as a millennial, I come from a professional working background. A lot of my peers are stuck in their jobs and, literally can't even imagine just trying to do something different or reinventing themselves. And my personal story is I left a career in law because I was really unfulfilled and didn't give me a sense of purpose. And then I gravitated towards crypto because I saw a lot of potential and it was exciting, and there was a lot behind it. And, lots of criticism for stepping away and all of that. But what Josh has done is obviously created this incredible social media following, but he's setting an example for his generation and for others to just follow your passion. Don't be afraid of reinventing yourself. And so I guess my takeaway is it's really inspiring. So I think it's something that everyone can learn
100%
from.
agree. You talk about people reestablishing themselves, but let's face it, with Gen Zs and millennials, this is what's normal to them. Bringing it up, it's the way the world has changed. We've seen more change in the last 10 years than we did in the previous 10,000. And they say the next 10,000, it's going to be like the last 10, like we were standing still. That's what gets this industry excited. And I think this is what a lot of investors like. I was reading online this morning that a 12-year-old made $400,000 off of NFTs. He's a coder. And I'm like, this is incredible what all these generations are doing new ways. And it's this is what's normal. But that's the fascinating part. And to your point, Ben, about reestablishing yourself. Last thing I wanted to ask, there's still a lot of confusion as to how DeFi works and what it does. So with the WonderFi dashboard bringing core and launch products, can you walk us through maybe some of the integrations users will be able to access, Ben?
Yeah, it really just comes down to WonderFi being a simple, easy access point for people that aren't crypto traders or experts. It's grounded in education, but it's really focused on a curated experience for the best parts of DeFi. So buying assets, being able to earn interest, getting exposure to the space, tracking your performance, being compliant. without any of the complexities.
Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time to check in with us today here on the podcast. Again, congrats on going public earlier this week. A lot of buzz surrounding the company, and definitely one we will be watching closely as time progresses. Ben, Josh, appreciate your time.